But because it's very necessary to explain all the details. That's why I said that, yes, we have to save these minerals, and those countries, we are thankful to all the support, but those countries who will support us and who will save this, of course, they will have priority to invest in it, because we need jobs and investment, and then we will divide profits with one or another partner. So that was very important. Save it and don't give to North Korea, maybe China, I don't know whom Russia will and want to give it after occupation. We need to save it, critical minerals, and a lot of different things. That's my message. I was happy that Americans, they came, the Secretary of Treasury, he came to Ukraine directly to Kyiv. It was his first mission, and it was exactly to Kyiv. I was very thankful to him, and he brought the document, and the document was on my table. I said that our lawyers will learn it, and then with some advices or some changes, will come back. It's about investment. It's not security document. It's memorandum between two sides. And I know that I will have meeting with Vice President. I don't know. I mean this evening, but I'm here till tomorrow. I can meet evening, morning. Doesn't matter for me. Like President Trump said. So you can come when you want. I'm always in Washington. I can say to Vice President, you can come anytime. I'm here in Munich, and I'm ready. You know, really with pleasure. I'm ready to meet. I'm not ready to sign everything, but to meet. Yes, I mean that I will not sign. The ministers will sign, but they will sign right memo how to save critical minerals and etc. If it will be if it will be ready, I hope it will be ready. That's all.
President, does the conversation between Vladimir Putin and President Trump risk embolden Putin? Right. So how do you view this specifically? Are there risks and dangers for the U.S.?
Risk? What is it?
Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump have spoken on the phone. You were briefed on the conversation. Is this a risk for yourself, of course, but also the U.S.?
Phone calls between Putin and Trump was risk for United States? I think not risk for United States. I think for Trump, because he's stronger than Putin, I think so. I think risks for all the world. Because the priority is, I mean, we have much more risks than risk for the United States, with all respect, for all of us, with all the big guys. And I think it's very necessary. As I said at the very beginning, I had good conversation with the President Trump. We had some phone calls, and he had phone call with Putin, and he said to me, I think that that he wants to stop the war. I said to him that he is a liar, and you can count on it. I hope that you will pressure him, because I don't trust him. We had such conversations with Putin, direct conversation about ceasefire. So just ceasefire, we don't need just ceasefire. This is global problem. So we had ceasefire. It was my direct decision. And we made a decision that it will be ceasefire and exchange all the prisoners. And he didn't change all the prisoners yet. We've been very happy. That was first step when we brought home more than 100 guys to their family. It was very necessary between us. Even because of this one reason, I had to come to France in 2019 and bring back a people. But he will not just, ceasefire and that's all. That's why I said to President, yes, but I think phone calls are phone calls. Let's forget about it. I think what is very important, the meeting, not to make any decisions about Ukraine without Ukraine. This is principal position we will never accept it. And when I said that we will never accept, I'm not speaking just about me. I'm speaking about all our people, all our nation. People will not stop. We will give him pause. Without the real security guarantees, we will give him pause. I don't want to, be those person in the history who helped Putin to occupy my country. I don't want it. And that's why I will never do it. I will never do it. And it's very important for me to pressure Putin, put all the sanctions. I think President Trump is ready to do it. He has all this power to do it. That's why I wanted very much to come to Washington any day this century. And to come to Washington. And I think we need very much to make the common plan of civilized people and to share all these things with our friends and with the help of our friends of Europe. It's very necessary not to lose this unity. I'm so proud that we are part of such strong Europe. And I think that is important, very important, not to lose this unity. Before this war, it's maybe not too much things, by the way, which this war made positively, that unity between the United States and Europe. That's what this war brought. And Putin scared it. I think during the last 20, 25 years, I don't remember how many years he is in Kremlin. So, I mean, this is the first time when the unity could pressure him and he couldn't occupy us. Because of this unity, because of our people and soldiers, of course, but because of this, not to lose it, and now to make a deal without us or without Europe is not a good idea, and I hope that President Trump doesn't have this idea. I count on it very much. I think I answered on 10 next questions. Sorry.
I have 100 questions, but to the senators.
Yeah,
and maybe
to the senators, please.
To the senators, and maybe let's start with Senator Graham. Are you comfortable with a world in which the president seeks to do deals with authoritarian leaders like Putin or even China before consulting with long-standing allies like Germany and France?
Yeah, I'm very okay with Trump talking to Putin. He talked to him. What I'm not okay with is the world losing deterrence. Why are we in this war? Okay, they invade in 2008 Georgia. They invade in 2014. They're back at it again. So rather than worrying about who Trump is calling, why don't we talk a little bit, how the hell did this happen? I've been coming to this thing for 25 years. John McCain, every conference, Putin sucks. He's a liar. Oh, no, you got him wrong. Putin was here. All the people worried about the phone call, where were you when we needed to stop Putin? Why didn't he invade when Trump was president? Because he was afraid of Trump. That's why he didn't invade. Why did he invade in 2014? Because he could get away with it. Why didn't he invade again? Because he could get away with it. I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally. Now, how does this war end? It ends in a way I hope so we don't do this yet again. Do you all agree with that? So it doesn't matter to me who Trump calls or when he calls. It matters to me how it ends. Afghanistan ended poorly. Do you all agree with that? Well, this will not end poorly. President Trump is not going to do in Ukraine what we did in Afghanistan. He's going to try to find a way to make sure this war ends sooner rather than later. And when I talk to people about at home why it matters, Putin won't stop unless somebody stops him. Well, you're stopping him. But he'll keep going unless we get the conditions right. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to find a way to end this war in a fashion that Putin would be a fool to do it again. Very quickly, how do you deter Putin? You arm this guy to the teeth. Yeah, you give him a bunch of F-16s, not a few F-16s. You give them ATACMS, you give them tanks, because they will fight. Remind me not to invade Ukraine, okay? It just doesn't work out well. So let's arm this guy. Let's do the minerals agreement so we'll have our American business interests. Putin doesn't understand what's going on. If we sign this minerals agreement, Putin is screwed because Trump will defend the deal. So the best thing that's going to happen here is he's going to do a deal with you, I hope, and he will defend America's interest. So this war is going to come in, I hope, sooner rather than later. And it's going to come in a way where it won't happen again. I have every confidence in the world that Donald Trump will end this war in a way that there will be no third invasion of Ukraine.
Senator, would you rule out NATO membership for Ukraine?
I think NATO is ruling that out, not Donald Trump. I think there are members of NATO who are not going to let this man in. But I've got an idea. It comes from the art of the deal. If we can't agree they should be in NATO like right now, can we agree that if there's ever another invasion, the moment they invade, they go into NATO? Let Putin put them in NATO if he wants to. Think of that. If in 2014, we'd had an agreement where if there was another invasion, they would be in NATO. There would have never been an invasion in 2014. So what do I think? I think we let Putin know that if he ever does this again, they're going into NATO really quick.
Senator Shaheen?
Well, I agree. I don't think we should take NATO off the table. I think it's important for us to have as much leverage for Ukraine as possible going into any kind of a negotiation. So I agree with Senator Graham. We need to give them weapons. I think there's bipartisan support in Congress to do that. I think we need to make sure that NATO membership continues to be on the table. And we need to do everything. And we need to ensure that Ukraine is at the negotiating table, because one of the mistakes in Afghanistan was that the Afghan government was not at the negotiating table when President Trump in his first term negotiated a peace agreement there.
Senator Cornyn?
Well, I think one mistake that Americans make sometimes is to assume that other people are just like them and don't recognize that a unique history and culture may affect the way that people like Vladimir Putin view the world. And it's clear that there's no cost-benefit analysis for Putin here, because he's sacrificing hundreds of thousands of Russians on the battlefield, and now North Koreans dying by the thousands. And Putin doesn't seem to care, and the people of Russia don't seem to be holding him accountable, perhaps because they're only hearing one side of the story. So I think we need to recognize that Putin is driven by a vision of restoring the Russian Empire, and that's why I believe that he won't stop at Ukraine, and that's why it's so important that we must stop him together in Ukraine.
But does a peace deal need to go back to the borders in 2014, the same borders?
I think the peace deal needs to be something that this gentleman right here can sign proudly, and that, first of all, does justice to what happened to Ukraine. Just between Russia and Ukraine, the deal needs to provide that justice for Ukraine. Second, it needs to be structured in such a way that it sends a message that there is no next Ukraine, that Russia does not just move on to another country to play the same script. And the third thing is we need to set it up in such a way that when China is looking at this outcome and they look over at Taiwan, they think, maybe not such a great idea. And there's one thing I feel obliged to add, because we are Codell McCain. We still keep John's name. Partly that's out of affection, but partly it's out of honoring his commitment to hold fast to the Atlantic Alliance. And what I want people here to know is that, at least for the Senate, there is strong majority, super majority, in favor of supporting Ukraine, seeing this through, making sure this does not come off as a win for Putin and embolden him further. And while you will hear, obviously, other voices, there is a strong, strong, big core of people like Dick Blumenthal, who's been in 6 times to Kiev to, battle for this. There is a very strong reservoir of determination in the Senate to see this through, and it is a bipartisan reservoir of determination.
Can I add something? Yeah. Because I think one of the things we haven't talked about, we've talked about the U.S. role, but Europe also has a role. The sanctions that we've put on Russia are a lot stronger if Europe is fully engaged in those sanctions. And Europe has also contributed to ensuring that Ukraine can defend itself. So we've got to remember that it's important for us to act together.
Yeah, and what did we get wrong in 2014? What did we get wrong in 2014? Well, we didn't give Ukraine much weapons at all. We gave you a lot of blankets. So we didn't have the policy of giving you what you need to defend yourself, right? We didn't mention anything about the consequences of another invasion. We didn't seize the moment to integrate our economies by doing mineral deals. Everything we didn't do in 2014, we better do now.
Including going after that shadow fleet that is keeping his money flowing in. That shadow fleet has gotten away with way too much.
But President Zelensky, I mean, what we understood from President Trump is that there'll be no NATO, no U.S. troops, and Trump is happy to carve up land. So again, a reaction to what we've heard this week, and how would you sell it back home? What's been the reaction in Ukraine?
The reaction in Ukraine. The reaction in Ukraine on the battlefield. That's what we have to do, or in all our cities when people just work, try to do business, and not that really, and then helps our soldiers. That's the reaction on everything. And of course, when we hear, some not positive messages, of course it has big influence. The worst thing when you have big influence on moral of the people. Because, today I think only such things, love to Ukraine, believing and trusting that we will have just peace and will that we will defend our country, and we are right. And it's fair, absolutely. And I think that's things which really hold us. But about the NATO, I mean, that I heard so many times from American side. By the way, Biden's administration and now from President Trump, I heard a lot of messages from them by phone. My first phone call with the President Biden, and my first question, will we be in NATO? He said, no. And I said, we will see. And then we had more meetings, more questions, but be very honest, United States, they never saw us in NATO. They just spoke about it. But they really didn't want us in NATO. It's true. I'm not about people, and there are a lot of congressmen, yes, senators, it's true, who've been always in participation with our NATO will, but really on the level of leader of the country, on the level of president, never I heard it, but during my term, I never heard that we will be in NATO. Never. So it's not the question to Trump, to President Trump, with all respect to everybody. That's the question to the policy of the United States or of the White House. This is the policy that Ukraine is not in NATO. But it doesn't mean that we can't change this, because now we see that NATO in Europe consists of strong soldiers, mostly in Ukraine. We are not in NATO, but we really have strong army, which can really make stronger NATO everywhere. And I think this is in both interests, to have Ukraine in NATO, and both interests, in interest of Ukraine and in interest of NATO. And that's why when we speak, and we spoke with the President Biden, and we spoke with the President Trump, and especially now with the President Trump, I asked, so, okay, if it's not NATO for today, if it's not NATO, we will ask tomorrow, it doesn't matter. But if we're speaking about today, what alternatives? What the alternatives? I don't know. What I see, if we don't have NATO, real NATO, we will make NATO in Ukraine. It means that we need to increase our soldiers, our army, twice. We have 110 brigades. Russia has 220 brigades, real brigades. So they are 2 times bigger than we for today. Yes, but they're increasing mobilization and training, what they're doing now. NATO, or I mean, there's real brigades in Europe, what can I say? The real brigades in Europe, it's about 82. Today I spoke with senators, 82 brigades, and we have 110. Even together, we are not comparable with Russian army. Even together. So we have increased together. So if we speak security guarantees, we have to find money for a bigger army for Ukraine. And also we have to find possibility how to increase production and increase army in Europe. Who knows? Maybe it's common forces. I don't know. We are ready to speak about it.
We have a lot of questions from the floor. I just have one last question for Senator Graham. There's been discussion that China could or even should actually play a role in the Ukraine peace process, even as a guarantor of Russia's good faith or helping out with reconstruction. I mean, is that scenario one that you can envision and that would serve U.S. interests?
Well, you know, if China wanted to help get Russia to end this war, that would be great. How many people would like to see China help Russia end this war? I don't know if they will or not, but I've got a bill called pre-invasion sanctions that if China invades Taiwan, we're going to have sanctions from hell and tell them what comes their way. Senator Blumenthal and I had a pre-invasion sanctions bill if Russia invaded Ukraine. Nobody wants to be provocative. If we put Ukraine in NATO, it will make Putin mad. Well, I think he's mad already. So it's not about you. He wants to take the place because you got $7 trillion. Quit worrying about making him mad. Make him scared. Quit worried about offending China. Make them think twice about what they're going to do. If you invade Taiwan, we're going to crush your economy. We're going to put tariffs on you. We're going to put sanctions on you. We won't treat you as a normal country because you're not a normal country. What kind of deal am I looking for? One that not only will deter Putin, will deter Xi and anybody else. It's not working being nice to these people and being afraid of these people.
We have a question here, and then a second question over there, and then third.
Alexei Goncharenko, member of the Parliament of Ukraine. And my question is to American colleagues. Very striking speech of Vice President Vance right now. He was very critical towards Europe, not so much towards Russia. He almost didn't mention Russia and Russian war against Ukraine. So my question is, today is a happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Love and marriage between, and alliance between America and Europe made both sides of Atlantic Ocean great. You now want to make America great again. But is it right way at the beginning to make America single again? Thank you very much.
Senator Shane.
Look, that's why I said it's important for the United States and Europe to work together on Russia. The transatlantic alliance has been one of the longest relationships of allies, certainly in the U.S. history, and I think it's important to continue that. And I think Vice President Vance missed a good opportunity to point out the past relationship and why we have been successful when we've acted together.
President Zelensky spoke. No, that's an applause line. Go for it.
It's a ridiculous thing to applaud because he said yesterday, if Ukraine is not an independent sovereign nation, we'll sanction the hell out of Russia and maybe use the military. You must have missed that.
But he needs to repeat it.
It was in an interview, so maybe today would have been the right.
Another time to say it. With respect to President Zelensky's comment about his need for resources and Senator Sheen's comment about the need for the U.S. and Europe to work together, one very easy way to tie all that together would be to seize Russia's frozen sovereign assets.
Amen.
Or, if that's too frightening, collateralize them against a massive loan to Ukraine that they then backstop if Russia doesn't make good out of reparations afterwards, and get that money flowing. I think that the bankers are frightened about it. People are frightened about what it means for the currency. But I endorse Lindsay's view that this is what do they call it? A nettle that is worth grasping.
Another question.
I'm from the Baltics. In the beginning, nobody wanted Baltics in NATO. And nobody had even defense plans. We had no troops. Now we have it all. And it was legendary Senator McCain who started that campaign. So, Senator Graham, if you represent that group, you know, we have many Lithuanians, many Ukrainians, many Poles. We have Central and Eastern European coalition, 25 million American citizens of our descent. We will vote for you. Do it what you did for us. Make Ukraine NATO member.
Well, yeah. I'm okay with you being NATO. I'm just being honest with you. I think there are a few countries who are not. My idea is a little bit different. I want Putin to know if he ever does this again, you go into NATO right away. I want to take the mystery out of what happens if there's another invasion. You get sanctioned. There's a bunch of bad things coming your way. We'll have troops on the ground in Ukraine. We'll have American business interests. We'll have a Ukrainian military that nobody in their right mind wants to fight. But how about this idea? If we can't get this man in NATO, like right now, can we tell Putin, if you ever do this again, he's going in NATO, like right away? Do you think he'd do it if that was clear to him? I don't think he would.
We have a question here.
Trudy Rubin from...
I think we can hear you. Yeah, it works fine.
So I'm Trudy Rubin, columnist from the Philadelphia Inquirer. The President Zelensky has spoken about the need for absolute security guarantees. But from the President's tweets and statements on the phone call and what Secretary Hegseth said, the only security that the U.S. will consider is European troops outside of NATO with no U.S. backup. So I would like to ask the President, would you need U.S. backup for any European force? And I'd like to ask the senators, especially Senator Graham, would you support U.S. backup for any European force, and would it have to be also backed up by NATO?
Let's start from Lindsay. This question, I think, important your position.
I don't speak good English. I've been telling you what I support, that if he invades again, they go into NATO. That means we all fight.
President Zelensky.
Okay, we spoke about continuing too much, a lot of times, beginning with, this proposition from the European France, from Emmanuel. We spoke about it with Emmanuel, with Starmer, with other leaders. I spoke about it with Emmanuel, with President Trump, with President Macron, and with me. Yes, three of us, during our common visit to Paris. So we spoke about it a lot of times. First of all, I think that the United States need to be together with Europe supporting Ukraine. That's why it's a message to Putin. It's politically, not even with army, not because of the number of the troops. Politically, it's very important to stay together. And when it's security guarantees from the United States and Europe, it have to be together. That's why it's necessary to stay together in Ukraine if we see like a part of globally, like a part of security guarantees for Ukraine, the part contingents. Yes, that is the first. The second point, as I said, it doesn't matter from what country these forces. Anyway, we need 1.5 million army if we are not in NATO. If we really want to stop any after ceasefire or something like this, I don't know, this negotiation, if we really want not to be afraid the result of new occupation or new invasion of Russia. And this is real security guarantees.
Yep.
Because it's real preventive security guarantees. That's what really Putin will know, that he has army 1.5 million and Ukrainians have army 1.5 million. If he wants to come and die, please. So I think this is really plan for security guarantees. And this is not against NATO. It's very supportive. Yes, you are not in NATO, but I think everybody will want after this, in some period of time, if it's not available for today for us, yes, to have such big army in NATO. Otherwise, this army will be bigger than other alliances and etc. I think it's good to have strong alliances. So that is my point of view. And of course, really between us, our soldiers already did their homework, where the troops of concrete country, and I didn't share it with countries, it's just our view, because we know what's going on our territory, where we really need additional forces. So we already have the map with the number and kind forces of our partners where they have to stay. So we are ready, as I said, we are ready for any kind of decisions, positive decisions, I mean any kind of format of meetings. Let's do it, not to find the date. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question at the back. I think I only have time for 2 more questions. So one there, and then the gentleman there that's been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it should be on.
2 questions to you, Mr. President Zelensky. Barack Ravid from Axios in the U.S. You had the call with President Trump, and he even gave you his personal number at the end of the call, which was a nice gesture. But did you feel, or do you
Don't
feel?
give him yours; he'll let it out.
Yeah. Do you feel that other than that gesture, President Trump
doesn't need security guarantees?
Do you feel that President Trump is really committed? Like the commitment we heard from, for example, from Senator Graham to Ukraine? Or are you concerned that at a certain point he can change course and leave you out to dry? And the second question, President Trump said yesterday that there are going to be talks in Saudi Arabia next week between senior officials from Russia, Russia, US, and Ukraine. Can you clarify if that's taking place?
Yeah, thank you so much. I never saw your face. I always heard about Axios, that you always, after my phone calls with some leaders, you know what's going on. What was during my phone calls? No, I know it, really. The information, where you have your information, where you get this information? Huh?
Yours at the NSA.
Yeah, nice. So thank you so much. We really had a good conversation with President Trump. Yes, he gave me his telephone number. By the way, it was funny. I can tell you. I think that President Trump wouldn't be against it. I will open you. I said to him that this idea with the date to come to you, I said to him, without date, I said to him, I think it's genius.
You want to call him now?
No, otherwise you will always have his number. No, I know. No, I said to him, yeah, and he said, you can call me anytime you want. I said to him, yes, thank you so much. But previous time you said me that you can call me directly anytime and didn't give me your phone number. And he said, okay. Yes. Okay. Right. Yes. You can call anytime, and really, I hope, and we count that really President Trump will help us, and I really count on him because he is the president of the United States. People of the United States, they voted for him. He is the president, and the United States is the biggest donator during the war. I mean, comparable with other countries. As I said, Europe also, but it's Europe, totally continent. Yes, United States gave a lot. That's why I count on him. People voted, and we really think, I see, yes, that he is a strong man. And if he will choose our side, and if he will not be in the middle, I think he will, really, I think he will pressure and he will push Putin to stop the war. He can do it. And that is the first. Then about... but there are a lot of, different messages, I think, around him. I think that the problem is there are a lot of information, like with Saudi, as you said, a lot of information in the information field that is not truth or something, disinformation. I don't know, maybe Russians, maybe somebody else, maybe a lot of different people raise up, this disinformation, and it's, political turbulence. This is very dangerous. Especially such things destroy the unity between all of us. This is dangerous. For example, Saudi. Yes, I will make official visit to Saudi Arabia with the First Lady, Saudi Arabia, but also to Emirates and also to Turkey just after Munich. But I had these visits. I have very important dialogues with the guys who already helped us to bring back home our warriors. I have my questions. I don't want to be, and share a lot of details. I have this very important mission, yes, and we will speak about some list and etc. And they helped a lot with the children, that with the children, yes, deported children. That is a tough situation. It's much more difficult than a lot of things which we today discussed. Also important, but how to get back all our thousands, dozens of thousands stolen by Putin children. How to get them back. Right. It's difficult. That's why I have so many meetings, and that is real, my mission. I will not meet with Russians. I don't know they're happy or not happy with this, but I will not. It's not in my plan. I will meet with Russians with only one Russian guy, with Putin, only after we will have common plan with Trump, Europe, and we will sit with Putin and stop the war. Only in this case I'm ready to meet, not in other compromises platforms.
That's very clear.